Hey baby, I'm just wondering if you were coming to Conbravo. I really miss you. Alright, just get here soon, alright baby? It's really lonely without you.
Oh, Canada!
This is not what I had in mind.
Zenith? Are we supposed to be roommates? Because I don't think the cat's gonna want to sleep in the tub.
Well, it still might be better than these travel accommodations.
This is mine and Ari's room. This is lesbians only.
Missed it by that much, Janie! I guess this is what I get for trying to avoid customs!
Wait a minute. We're two internet reviewers in a room at a con. You know what that means, don't you?
Slash fic material?
Worse.
Crossover review? Well, we know the drill by now, so might as well get this thing started.
This is beautiful, but it's not home.
Can I opt for the slash fic instead?
What exactly are we looking at?
4 words. It was the 80s.
So apparently my Disney work is never done, because today my colleague and I have to discuss Fluppy Dogs, a Disney property so obscure that even I had never heard of it before today. That's saying a lot coming from me, because I made a podcast about a movie called Son of Flubber, which everyone thought was a sequel to the Robin Williams Flubber, but nope, that was just an obscure 60s film, much like the 3 sequels to The Parent Trap. Anyway, from what I can gather, Fluppy Dogs was created based on the success of the Gummy Bears, but did not take off in the same way. Then again, the Gummy Bears had that amazing theme song backing it up, and Fluppy Dogs was, well, Fluppy Dogs.
As someone who grew up in the 80s, I vaguely remember the Fluppy Dogs toys themselves, but for the life of me, I still can't figure out which came first. All online sources I found seem to say this animated special was made as a precursor to selling the toys, yet upon discovering old ads for the toys, I'm told they aired around 1985, at least a year before this special hit the airwaves on Thanksgiving 1986. But I guess we're stuck here until we can explain just why this thing turned out to be maybe Disney's biggest flop in its entire history of animated television.
So how does this cute, fluffy puppy dog show begin? Apparently with a recreation of Third Man on the Mountain.
Still got the scent? I think so.
Huh! So this was made by the same people who made Rainbow Bright and the Star Stealer. So yeah, we're just gonna jump right into this thing. These, Fluppy Dogs are risking certain death scaling a mountain and who knows where until the green one named Ozzy, who yes, is voiced by Lorenzo Music, is able to sniff something.
Where do I put the key? That way, about 3 feet.
You saw that, right? They stuck a crystal into thin air and made a door pop out of nowhere?
Yes?
Okay, good!
I wanna unsee it. So, is this ever explained, or am I going to have to just wonder what the hell for the rest of this review?
The answer is yes.
Oh, I get it. So this is just Doctor Who, but with dogs, right? Except with an invisible TARDIS, and the companions are also dogs, and... God, that sounds awful. Never mind.
And yet it still makes more sense than the Fonz and the Happy Days gang cartoon.
Eventually, they find their way into a world even more insane than Dog Doctor Who. Our world.
Grab that dog!
This attempt to revive Supermarket Sweep leaves something to be desired.
As they're chased out into the streets, we're introduced to this guy, Mr. Wagstaff. Wait, is this supposed to be a dog pun? God, it's going to be this kind of show, isn't it?
And guess what? He's voiced by Michael Rye, just in case you didn't know from the very start that he's going to be the villain.
Did I mention I'm not a villain?
This way! That dog talked.
A talking dog? That's even more amazing than a talking cat.
They're almost as amazing as those talking, bouncing bears my ancestor fought! I'm surprised they don't flat out say he's Duke Igthorn's descendant.
Apparently, the Fluppy Dogs are out of gummy berry juice because they end up in the pound pretty damn quick. Our heroes, everybody.
If they run into a street-talking beagle in a Letterman's jacket, I'm bailing.
It's a birthday present for my son. What kind do you think a 10-year-old would like?
The tall creature wants to take one of us.
After a bit, the Stanley Fluppy gets adopted as he learns how to act like an Earth dog pretty quickly. Man, that's gotta be deflating to all the other dogs there. Meanwhile, Wagstaff returns home to discover that the Fluppy Dogs are in one of his books, making me think this is a sequel to the live-action Smurfs movie. Next scene, we'll probably see Gargamel wandering around trying to find Smurfs in New York.
Wait, back up here. So, this guy has access to a book that tells of mythical beasts from other worlds? Is that the Great Book of Gummy he's holding or something?
We're going to set some type of record for Gummy Bears jokes in this review, aren't we?
Hey, when the show is serving them to us like fastballs right over the plate.
Well, when else am I gonna get a chance to discuss the Gummy Bears outside of diving into DuckTales? Shameless plug.
What's this?
It's the dog you wanted.
Oh, sure, Mom. He's great. Oh. Guess I had something a little bigger in mind. Here, boy!
Look out, Janie!
What are you?
So, that was a thing that just happened. How did the ladder not buckle under his weight until he was at the top? How did the ladder not get caught when the dog pulled it back up? This raises so many questions about physics, and his only question is, what are you? Come on, man, this breaks so many laws of physics, it hurts.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet in that regard. So it's here, about 10 to 15 minutes into the special, that we finally get some type of backstory on these fluppies and why they ended up on Earth. Apparently, Stanley here gets his friends to come with him to different worlds using that magical crystal key to open doors because they get bored and want adventure. You know, you'd think you'd plan a little better if you're using magic to travel from one place to another rather than just end up somewhere you don't know. Hey, I told Jeannie to send me here. She was just off by a few degrees.
You'll see.
I just... What the... Scratching his head makes the bed fly? And it just happens? I need a minute. I need to put on Rockadoodle and watch that instead, because that's far more coherent.
I should have warned you. In some worlds, things like this happen to us.
That's all we're gonna get for an explanation, huh? Okay! Seriously though, this is not a bad idea for an adventure show if they just completely ran with this concept. Remember, this thing was created a year after Disney made a show about medieval bouncing superhero bears that were based off of gummy candy, and another one about creatures that were two animals combined into one, so it's not like Disney was afraid of going with a high concept at the time. The problem is that here you have creatures from another world that can hop across dimensions among other abilities, and you throw them as quickly as possible into the most familiar setting imaginable when there was the potential for so much more creativity. If you really wanted these fluppies to end up in the human world, you could have waited until the second half of this hour-long special to do that and spent the first half firmly establishing these characters, their personalities, and their abilities, and then we as viewers get vested into the conflict they get into. In fact, that's exactly what Disney did 10 years later with the Mighty Ducks cartoon. Say what you want about that show, but at least we started off getting to know exactly who those characters were. Here, the first half is spent glossing over what exactly these creatures are, leaving us just as confused about them as the human characters themselves. We keep bringing up gummy bears, but that show did more to establish its setting in the first 5 minutes of its first half-hour episode than Fluppy Dogs has done in the first 20 minutes of an hour-long special. Anyway, Jamie is also able to buy the girl dog Tippy out of the pound and give her to this girl named Chloe, but he doesn't have the money for the other fluppies. But now that they have the powers of little Nemo, all 4 of them get together to break the other fluppies out of the pound just before Wagstaff can get them himself.
Now we're together again. Together again. I'm one and only.
What? We've got the voice of Garfield in this special. How can I resist?
And somehow his mother doesn't notice the other fluppies in his room when they hide under a mountain of clothes. Okay. My mom would have immediately made me clean my room, and I would have been found out immediately, but whatever.
Oh, that's only the beginning as to how unattentive she is.
Jamie, did you cut school this afternoon? I had a little, trouble with some kids. But, it's okay now.
Jamie, you've never cut school before. What were you going to tell me, Jamie Bingham? Why do you suddenly unpack my groceries and want to do laundry and leave your room such a mess?
Yeah, let's just say this woman ain't exactly Gladys Kravitz.
In any case, the rest of the special is more antics like this, with him trying to hide the fluppies from being seen while finding the door to their homeworld. But not before they find several other doors, like the one in Jamie's basement, that sets loose this creature.
Oh great, another character we get almost no backstory on.
So, the first half of the special can be summed up as what the hell is going on, and the second half is padding and wacky comedy. Oh joy.
For what it's worth, they do add this whole tension about how the key is losing power and thus they're running out of time before they finally find the door to their world in front of the city library. There's a metaphor there about learning, I just know it. But by then, Wagstaff has finally kidnapped Ozzy, so everyone has to break into the Wagstaff mansion to get him out and then get everyone back to the library, and I doubt anyone was still watching at this point anyway, because they'd switched over to the fourth quarter of the Cowboys game.
Come on. It's gonna take all of us to open this.
Okay, people. Keep in mind, I know we're dealing with Disney here, the epitome of happily ever after. And personally, I love happy endings just as much as the next guy. So keep that in mind when I say, this is probably the worst ending they could have ever come up with! Oh, it could have worked if this was a one-shot special or maybe even a movie, but not if it was intended to launch an actual series. If the Fluppies had failed to reach the door in time, now you have something to build into the series, with a setting of them having to find ways to recharge their key, find other doors. It's a classic Journey Home story, which would have at least been unique to Disney animated TV at the time.
Or even still, what about the kids getting trapped in the Fluppies' world instead, with the series taking place in that strange world we never get to know anything about? But nope, it's just Wagstaff that gets trapped and that's it. Oh crap, I got it. Wagstaff is Gargamel. That's how he got trapped in the Smurf world with the Fluppies. It all makes sense now.
So basically, the big question we're left with is, now that they've accomplished their goal and returned to their own world, where do we go from here? Apparently nowhere for the next several months until the Fluppies just show up again in the winter, bringing all of their other buddies as well.
What are they here for?
Adventure, Jamie! Adventure!
What? The whole point of this special, the entire point, was them trying to get home and only being there for a limited time with the power of the crystal. All that tension, and it's just negated in the final scene? What was the point of this special then?
Adventure, Zenith! Adventure! So, Disney's Fluppy Dogs. How was it?
This special was just all over the place. There were parts that were just nuts, reminding me of old school cartoon movies where stuff just kind of happens for no reason, and the second half was just padded to hell. But the ending, dear God, it invalidated the entire special to start a TV show that was never going to happen because they don't have anything interesting to do in the human world. This could have easily been salvaged, but man, what it ended up being is just awful.
There was a just crazy enough to work concept here for sure, but it gets wrecked by 90% of it being just a paint-by-numbers story that doesn't do enough to establish its main characters and leaves its audience guessing a lot and having little time to breathe. It really feels like the one case where Disney was handed the toys first and simply told to do something with them, and were not given enough time to flesh out everything like the mouse was able to do with the other cartoons created at this time. It's just amazing how much bat-insane stuff came out of the 1980s and before then. Oh well, gotta make sure I have enough Canadian cash on me so I can go purchase those bootleg copies of Josie and the Pussycats in outer space.
How have you kept your sanity all these years?
Who says I have?
I remember when we first met, me and my favorite pet.
Oh, they call it Fluffy Dogs.
Introducing the Fluppy Dogs collection.
She wagged her tail, we were face to face. I thought, this dog has taste.
Oh, they call it Fluffy Dogs.
I said, wanna go out? She nodded, yuck. I got hooked on a fancy fluff. She's got everything I want. I love that little debutante.
Fluffy Dogs.
Pink Fancy Fluff from the Fluffy Dogs collection. New from Kenner.